Do you need my one and done?
Yeah, you'll have to pick some. Everyone's playing, basically, so you can pick whoever.
I think that Max is going to take it home.
You can say it on the show, by the way. We're doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not realize you were going to ask me on the show.
Why wouldn't I ask you on the show?
I don't know.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Keeping it rolling on the Pat Mayo Experience. Pebble Beach Picks preview. One and done. If you missed I separated the video into two parts. This is all just a rolling part of the audio podcast. So rate and review the audio podcast. If you enjoy some PGA and NFL in your life, smash the like if you're here. If you missed the NFL recap show, head on over to Mayo Media Network and smash that like and watch that video and sub to the channel while you're over there as well. Would love if you would do that for us. Jeff and Tim are still on the line with us. We got Tim for like an extra 20 minutes here. Pebble Beach, it's a super field. Did you watch much of Torrey Pines this weekend with the Saturday finish?
Not a whole lot. I'm not going to lie to you. There was no one on the leaderboard I really cared about, so I wasn't super excited. I'm not going to lie. It was a Saturday. I got things to do. And if there had been names that were relevant, I might have watched, but I don't care if the second French person in so many years wins a tournament. I don't care. Like, whatever. So what? Okay. Like, I'm not one of these people who thinks that like Torrey Pines is a bad course because of the design. I don't agree with that. I just couldn't make myself excited for a tournament that had people in it I just wasn't too concerned about. So no, I didn't watch much of it, but good for the course to show some teeth. And I guess the winner was at -13. That's great, but no, I didn't watch a whole lot of it.
So I would argue with the majority of golf, with how niche it is, Pat, there are very few people who, when they know they're turning on like the final few holes of a tournament, and I'm sure there's lots of people who turned it on thinking it was still Saturday, but their golf is so niche. I don't think it matters who's on the leaderboard for people to want to watch the final couple holes of a golf tournament.
Yeah, they see Jay Knapp and they think, oh my goodness, I don't care who that is. I need to watch him play golf because I don't know who he is.
There are ones that can be more compelling, but I just think golf is so niche. It is sort of evergreen in that regard.
Yeah, so what we've seen so far, the ratings were slightly down from last year for the final round of the Farmers Insurance Open, but the American Express was almost double what it was, somewhere around there. I think it was like 300,000, like 600,000 with Nick Dunlap, someone who literally basically only Jeff had really heard of, apparently, closing it out with a great story. Sony Open was up as well, and that was another leaderboard. Yeah, he had like Keegan and Ben Am, but none of the big players play in the Sony Open anyway. But so far on the PGA season, we've just had great finishes. Like, they've been very compelling, where you're trying to see guys not like shit all over themselves coming down to get their first win. There's multiple names at the leaderboard, and everything is flipping back and forth. And now we get to go to Pebble Beach, where like all of the best players are playing, and Tim's favorite, a no-cut event, but you get a very historic course, you get a really good field, and then you've had all of these like 3 great weeks of stories that I think that what this has proved so far, and it's a very small sample, so maybe it just turns out to be straight up wrong, is that all of these names that people were so concerned about, they just kind of like complaining that these guys aren't here, but they watch anyway. Like, no one seemed to miss Rahm at Torrey Pines. And it's not like it didn't have names. Like, Ludwig, Tony, Xander, they were all there at the end. They just couldn't make a putt to save their lives.
No, I still feel like people miss the players, but golf is just still so niche, and you can just watch a guy battle for the tournament at the end. You understand the golf ecosystem to know how relevant this still is, like, to the players involved. But I still miss Rahm. Like, I'll never get on the camp that's like, that poo-poos that.
It's not about missing Rahm, but if you're gonna say just like, oh my god, the PGA's dead because Jon Rahm's not there, in fact, it really makes very little difference, it turns out.
Yeah,
but
that's a strike against the PGA then, for that matter.
Well, I think
their personalities don't matter.
Well, I mean, they've had all their
stars. I mean, that's true what you just said. Another X in the PGA call.
See, I don't think so. I think what we found out is that the conclusions of these tournaments that people recognize are the things that people are drawn to, and they are creating new stars. Like, this Dunlap guy comes out of nowhere. Like, people are like fired up for him now. Like, that's the one thing that PGA will always have over LIV with its current construction is A, people know tournaments are happening on the PGA Tour. So that's step one. It's on TV. That's step two. And B, you can create guys out of nowhere if they go and win, where these guys don't have the opportunity to do that on LIV.
I mean, there is truth to that last point, but what they lack in weird, unheard of young rookies becoming sensations, they gain in having big name stars from current and yesteryear that you know.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then why doesn't the Champions Tour rate well? The tour full of stars from yesterday.
Because it's only yesterday's golfers. The LIV Tour happens to make heaven and mixture of people who are both nostalgic and currently some of the very, very, very best in the world. You don't see that anywhere else.
But most
if
of
they were on
but,
regular TV, they'd be competitive.
But they wouldn't be. But most of the players most of the people who watch are very casual, like Geoff said, in terms of the PGA Tour, that they'll get their chance to see these guys 4 times a year at the majors when like most of the casual fans tune in. So they're not missing anything.
LIV's biggest problem, I don't care what anyone says, I don't care who plays on it. Us who argue about this shit on Twitter, we are 1.5% of the goddamn ecosystem. Their biggest problem is the people who actually watch golf like in the casual way or the niche way, don't have a clue when it's on, don't know it's the season the first event this week. CBS, what the PGA Tour has, it's almost like the nightly news to old men.
That's true.
It's like 6 o'clock. It's like clockwork. Saturday, Sunday, network TV. I could tune it on. There's a golf. People have no idea when LIV is playing. They don't. It's not ingrained. They don't care. These aren't people that are like searching the grid for it. It's just habitual. If LIV could be something that is so habitual, people would get behind it, I think, way more. But there's no way to captivate casual with a scattered schedule. You know, to us hardcores, we can appreciate a scattered schedule. We think the PGA plays way too much and plays way too much pointless shit. But to the niche of actually drawing eyeballs, you can't be playing random weekends. You just can't. It will not work. That cannot work. That people do not know.
It's a fair point.
So,
fair point.
So yeah, we wake up on Monday morning. So Moronk pulls out, whatever the hell, with Torrey Pines last week, joins the LIV Tour. Tyrrell Hatton does the same thing this week. He was scheduled to be in the Pebble Beach tournament. Yep. Now he is not there anymore. I mean, it sucks that Hatton is going. Like, the one case I've always made for LIV that I really hated the entire time was they took all the people that I like to root for, all like the actual compelling personalities that everyone just kind of hates on the PGA Tour, but I think spices it up a lot. Like, this is like team anger management if you got Rahm and Hatton on the same team.
Yeah, add Sergio probably, right?
Doesn't Sergio have his own team
already?
Pretty sure he has his own team.
And now this year they're introducing people being able to play as individuals as well. There's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 individual spots per tournament as well.
Oh,
what does that mean?
You don't belong to a team in particular. You're sort of like independent.
Agent?
You're like Notre Dame?
Essentially. So like I would imagine in 2 weeks when AK tees off in Vegas, for example, he's going to be an independent. He's not going to be a member of a team.
That guy. The money better be goddamn enormous. It better not just be a make good on his insurance payment, because the dumbest thing that guy could do is put a tee in the ground and do it on TV with a camera. I mean that. The myth will disappear instantly when you realize Blocky would wax him.
I mean, we have no idea if he turned out to be awesome.
I have an idea.
I think Laurie Cantor's an independent this week.
Well, great.
I have an idea about a 38-year-old. I have an idea.
Sure. Someone made I thought it was a very astute point that like so much, and if he can capitalize on it or whatever his payment would have been. This is Anthony Kim we're talking about, by the way, that there was talk that he might come back. That it would be like Max Homa going away now and then coming back in 10 years. Would be sort of.
I don't think Max Homa had the public support and flair that AK had when he played.
See, that's the thing. I think you don't.
It would be like if Ricky retired when he was like 22.
Well, because that was also in like a prime Tiger era where like golf was just, golf had an oxygen to it, and anyone in and around a Tiger anything had subsequent oxygen that, to almost Tim's point, that oxygen doesn't exist to have put Max on that level. But I think it's a fair comp in terms of like age and talent and accomplishment. Like, yeah, we would be super fascinated about Max just going on gambling rampages, living in Vegas, not golfing anymore.
But it's actually funny to look at because Homa, I mean, Homa's online personality may be outweighing that because he's so popular amongst people who are super online. But he has way more wins than Anthony Kim has. He's been a legit Ryder Cup and President's Cup stalwart who's been awesome on those teams. Like the biggest thing that people really like. Anthony Kim had 3 wins on the PGA Tour. He came 3rd at the Masters once. That's basically his entire career. It was good in the Ryder Cup once.
It was waxing Sergio's ass. It was like calling his shot that he was going to wax, just stomp that ass. That made him a legend more than any PGA Tour win. I think he had some nice finishes in U.S. Opens and majors that we got excited. Like, man, this guy's going to break through soon. And then he wanted to leave. But I don't know, man. If the bloom of the myth goes away, but he's got nothing left. So if there's obviously you take the money, but I've read some reports that all LIV offered him is like a make good on the insurance money. So what's that worth?
Well, it's worth that you get the money, you play out your contract, and then you can do whatever you want. Then you can continue.
Oh, then he can play for purses and he can get sponsorship. So you're right. You are right. But I guess to Anthony Kim, the myth is only worth something to us losers on Twitter. It doesn't bring him anything.
Yeah. It's just not playing is paying his bills right now. So are you pumped for Hatton, Tim? You're Mr. LIV.
I think Hatton is a great get. I think it's another further, for those of us who want to see LIV guys in the Ryder Cup, I think Hatton going is another sort of like push towards we got to let these guys in Ryder Cups because Europe doesn't have anybody without it. It's a great get. Both he and Moronk are fantastic gets for the LIV Tour in terms of like stalwart European names to further bolster the international quality of LIV. Because what you've always said, and I agreed with, is that LIV can't be just another American tour. It really has to, if it's going to thrive and be on par with the PGA at some point, it has to actually lean into its international character. That's a big advantage it has. And so bringing Moronk and bringing Hatton into LIV along with Rahm helps to boost that this is the world's tour rather than the way the PGA is rightly seen as an American tour.
So they got to go after like Semikawa and Ryu right now.
The Højgaards, these are the people they should be going after.
Well, they went after
Hovland,
Nicolai.
sure.
Nicolai said no. Hovland said no as well, I believe. People can always change their minds. I agree with you on. But there's only so many spots for these people to go to, and they're almost all full at this point. I just want to bring us back to when we were talking about the Ryder Cup picks for Europe, and you called Moronk a bum, but now he's a great international.
I didn't know he was. I've learned. I'm not allowed to learn a little bit and change my mind.
Well, it seems pretty aggressive to call. It seems pretty aggressive to call a guy a bum. But I actually didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about him. That's your stance. I just talk without knowing anything. These are the sorts of
things that happen when you are bought and paid for. When your foreign campaign funding comes in from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, please. My point is, this is the smart way for LIV to build for the future. It's to go after big named European stars, take them off the American tour and put them on the LIV Tour, and try to build your cachet that way. Half the events are not in the United States, and hopefully even more than half won't be. If you want to build the F1 version of golf, this is how you're going to do it. It doesn't mean it's going to succeed, but they're doing it the right way.
So here's my question to you, Geoff. So Tim thinks that these teams are going to be worth like billions of dollars.
The Rahm team could be very valuable.
No.
Rahm, Hatton.
None of them are worth anything. Nothing. They're worth zilch.
LIV is an entity. Those teams aren't worth anything, though. But they're not.
But my question is LIV only still doing this to put like its foot on the neck of the PGA Tour? Is that we don't really care. We'll waste all the money. We'll just continue to take your guys until you play ball with us. Because LIV as a concept isn't doing anything. Like this is just to merge with the PGA Tour. This is all it's for.
Great. If that's what the effect is, and the PGA Tour looks a lot more like LIV going forward, I think that would be a fantastic development.
I think they just
fewer events, more international. Great. Fewer cuts. That's what I want.
Like Andy Dufresne. this Al Racine, they're just chipping away. They just keep chipping and chipping away. And sometimes, like Rom, huge craters, like rocks, fall off the wall, and the chipping away gets easier. But to Tim's point, they're just like bullying the PGA Tour. And once the framework of an agreement was announced, the PGA Tour was dead, in my opinion. It had lost all leverage, and they had officially, even if the deal ends up breaking off, what that framework trying to make a deal did was fully, unequivocally legitimize LIV. Now, you could argue they should have always been legitimate, and that is maybe fair, but I just mean even for people that were on the fence of that, once PGA acknowledges we want a framework with these people, you've now totally legitimized them. They have all the power. They have all the leverage. You are totally at their mercy. And not only that, they are still continuing to go after their player profile, which, as Pat pointed out, are the entertaining guys, the personalities. The personalities are coming.
If you wanted this to work, like it legitimately work, and I don't think that they care if it works or not, because they're just going to get, all they wanted was to get their Masters membership, basically. And like I said, merge. The tour itself is irrelevant. But if they did actually want to make it work, you could have taken all of the money that you paid all of these guys. There was only one guy that could have done anything for you, and it was Tiger, and you didn't get him.
Yeah, Tiger was not really available. I don't think they could have offered him $8 billion. I don't.
Well, why not? Instead of giving Ian Poulter $80 million and all this stuff, like they offered him $1 billion. That wasn't enough. How about $3 billion, Tiger? Like, what's it to them?
I don't think that still would have done it. I don't think Tiger would have been.
I saw the best jokes on the internet this morning are like, I'll never forget Hatton's. He was on like the Boston virtual team. Like, I'll never forget his Boston something career.
But look, Rom and Hatton and Cam Smith and DJ all fighting it out late at Mayakoba has a much better chance to be more compelling than whatever happens at Pebble Beach.
You're unequivocal. Well, I don't know, because it's a strong field, but you're not wrong. They just have to get in the psyche of people knowing, casuals knowing when they're on TV.
I agree with that.
You cannot deny DJ battling Brooks, battling Bryson, battling Neiman, battling Cam Smith, battling Hatton. Like, holy shit. Who wouldn't want to watch that?
They should spend some of that money that they've been spending on big name players. And
I don't
take
even
the money
think I said John Rahm when I just listed
take the money that they would have spent on Hovland and buy airtime on Fox Sports or buy airtime on a big network.
They did that with Fox Sports already in year one.
Well, but that was also year one. Buy
even
more.
If they buy the
time.
Even if they buy the time, the scattered event thing, which I get is attractive to the players, and I like the scattered event makes it really, in the golf psyche, makes it really like hard for the, like, I keep maybe just repeating.
No, listen, I agree with you, because I thought Mayakoba was next week for LIV. I didn't realize it was happening this week. Like that's a problem when someone who covers golf full time doesn't quite realize what your schedule is. That's number one thing that you need to fix. Like, figure something out. And that level of awareness takes a lot of time, and it's more time than LIV probably has before they just want to merge and do something else.
But at the same point, like, doesn't F1 do the same thing? They don't have races every week. They'll have a race and then they'll be off for 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll have 2 back-to-back. Like,
how long has F1 been around for?
Obviously, a significant period.
And it is the
premier
racing league in the world.
Yes.
It's not a tier 2 golf league that's brand new.
Well, it's no longer tier 2.
It is tier 2 because no one fucking watches it.
Sign things. To Jeff's point, once they sign that agreement, they agree they put LIV on parallel with them.
Not on parallel, but they just totally
hold on. The DP World Tour is not on par with the PGA Tour.
Well, in terms of like legitimacy,
it's not. Like the PGA Tour is the big tour. The DP World Tour is the minor leagues.
I don't agree with that. I think that tour is equally as valid and professional.
Really? You think that the DP World Tour is
it's not the web.com tour.
Well, no, but it's,
I mean,
you could argue
it might now have less talent.
You could argue the Corn Ferry Tour it's a harder to win an event there. The talent level is deeper than a week in, week out on DP. And people could, I don't want to die on that hill, but you could easily argue it, I believe.
Yeah, and like I like the Euro Tour because you get the cool courses, you get up and comers from Europe who play on that tour before they come over to America to play on the better tour.
Oh, certainly a better, like talent-wise tour, but it's still equally. I'm just saying that there are 3 legitimately professional tours, and that's one of them.
If LIV
Don't-
can get us to consciously know their schedule and be on TV, I don't know how with that roster it could fail.
Because
I mean that.
what they're going
You're
to,
right.
what
That
they're
is the
going
big
to
challenge.
do is merge with the PGA Tour, and then like for some of these dummy weeks, like the Zurich or something, those will be LIV events that PGA guys can play in as well. And then the swing season becomes all LIV, and they get rid of the PGA events, and they take over the PGA airtime of those under an agreement, and then you allow like special exemptions for all these guys to play in the majors, and their points count. And then twice a year, Brooks can say, "I want to play in Phoenix." And he gets one other tournament he can play in too. Something like that.
Yeah, I think you laid out. You're right. They naturally just somehow get the PGA airtime, and that's how we're treated to it, and it can become part of the consciousness because, like, that roster is incredible. It is incredible.
Yeah.
As a golf nerd, I can't not be enthralled with wanting to watch the guys they have golf. Watching those guys, there are people that can be satisfied just seeing those names in the majors 4 times a year. I am not one of those people. I need a bigger fix of those like 8 stalwarts they have.
Tim,
I do.
Pebble Beach is
Yeah.
this week. You have to make a one and done pick. You get to go first. Who are you taking as your one and done?
I'll take Max Homa.
Maximum Homa, the Anthony Kim of today's generation.
It's what I'm being told. Yeah. Yeah, he played decently last weekend. Top 13, top 15 finish from California. Should be a good spot. I like him here.
Yeah, it is one of the. Would this close out his California Slam, Jeff? If he wins this week, because he has Riv, he has Torrey Pines, he has Napa. Is this the only other one?
PGA National or PGA
Does
West.
he have
sorry?
the MX?
No, he doesn't have the Amex. He never plays in that one.
And of course, there's other California courses that get played but just in majors.
Sure.
Thanks, Tim.
Didn't realize
You're right.
that.
He hasn't won Olympic Club yet.
No, that's in a couple of years.
But yeah, of your regular California courses
Yeah.
that you see in rotation, this would be the second. So he has 3 of the 5. I feel like I'm missing one because they don't play Sherwood anymore. But yeah, okay, Max Homa. Any other thoughts on Pebble Beach? This should be, the weather doesn't look like it's
I
going to
love the look of this course. It's a beautiful course. It's the most beautiful course. Like people say Augusta National is the most beautiful course, but like, let's be honest, Pebble Beach is the most beautiful golf course in the world.
I
Come on.
agree.
It's on the ocean. It's the best. It's the best.
I agree.
The-
And there's some shots on the other courses, like at Cypress and
They're-
Spyglass, that are just as mouthwatering, but they're a little more hidden.
I mean, the great thing about, like, as Tim loves the no-cut events, and I hate no-cut events, but it's better that they do it this way, especially because this tournament has been so shit for the past 10. Like, if Tiger wasn't playing in this, and then, like, Phil wasn't playing in this, it's like, it basically was a Corn Ferry event for a while, just where it got the placement and got screwed. And now they bring everyone back. You have your 80 top players coming in, or your, like, 50 top players and 30 other dudes who qualified, basically. But the greatest thing is, we lose Monterey Peninsula. That's no longer in the rotation. It's only a 2-day Pro-Am, so we actually get Saturday and Sunday of actual everyone at Pebble Beach without having to take the time to break down Larry the Cable Guy's swing. It's great.
Is this
Yeah.
new?
Yes. Because it's an elevated event. They couldn't have it a full regular 3 rounds, 3 courses Pro-Am. It's basically what the Amex is for Pro-Am. Like you get 2 courses, 2 days, and then the weekend gets all played at Pebble Beach.
The Amex
Are
is,
there
hold on,
celebrities
hold on,
playing
hold on,
Saturday?
Hold on.
No.
Hold on. The Amex is 3 days at 3 courses, by the way.
What's the one that's only 2? No, sorry, it was last week where you switched between just north and south for 1 round.
Yeah, but that's
a
not.
piece,
But
and then
that's
play
also.
both rounds.
But that's also not a Pro-Am.
You're right. But I was thinking about just the alternating of courses.
Yeah. So
You only play the second tier course once, not more than once.
you get Spyglass or Pebble day 1, Spyglass or Pebble, whichever one you didn't have day 1. You get that on day 2. Both the weekend rounds are at Pebble Beach, so we'll have full cameras, no AMs whatsoever on the weekend for Saturday and Sunday. And because it's an elevated event and the field, Jeff, is cropped to 80 players instead of 156, there's no Bill Murray this year. There's no actor celebrities. I had the list. in my article that came out in the newsletter, which is free to subscribe to, by the way. You can go click the link in the description and read the full preview. It's just athletes outside of the like CEOs this time around. You got like Larry Fitzgerald, Buster Posey, Brady, Rogers, and Pau Gasol are like the athletes that are playing. Everyone else is like the COO of AT&T or something.
And postage stamp green. So I have to guess with the tiniest greens by far on tour that putting is less important than it is at most tournaments.
Putting is so hard at this course. And we watched like people melt down on Twitter over the weekend because Aubert kept missing short putts. But here's the sneaky thing. You just watched all of his short putts. Everyone was missing short putts. Everyone. Basically, except for, I guess he steals the name now. Paul Barjon is out. Now that this guy closed a tournament, Geoff, that he is Long Dong Mathieu Pavon. Because he showed some long dong on the 72nd hole, getting it up and down and making that putt to win the tournament. But he was the one guy, and he did miss the short putt on the 71st hole. But everyone was missing short putts. Yeah, I have it in the column. These are the smallest greens at Pebble Beach on the PGA Tour. Spyglass is actually 5th in terms of small greens. That you would think that putting wouldn't matter, but putting is so difficult at this course. Inside 5 feet, the 3rd lowest make percentage on tour, Tim. 5 to 10 feet, 50% rate from 5 to 10 feet at Pebble Beach. That's the 2nd lowest on the PGA Tour. Inside 10 feet, the 3rd lowest. 10 to 15 feet, the lowest. 5 to 15 feet, 2nd lowest. 15 to 25 feet, 3rd lowest. Like these are like...
That's like Pinehurst number 2 type putting numbers.
But it's weird because there are certain guys that putt, like Jason Day putts really well on these greens. Snedeker putts really well on these greens. I have no idea why, but they do.
It's being played at a 72, right?
Yeah, it's a 72, so it's not quite like that. That's going to be
not U.S. Open style.
Well, that's my big question because we always see dog shit fields at this event. Now we have everyone here, and the last time that we had everyone here, Geoff, was at the U.S. Open under USGA categories where like the rough was super thick, the fairways were thin, the greens rolled a little bit faster. Not that they're slow at this course, but they're slower than they would have been at the U.S. Open. All like the great drivers ended up at the top of the leaderboard. Like, do you think that that's going to be the case again, or does it revert back to like kind of any skill set can win as long as you make your 10-foot putts?
I do believe any skill set can win here. The player profile that can win here is not that of like the U.S. Open. You're crossing guys off just because they aren't something.
Of the players, I put this in the column, and this is from Fantasy National, the revamped FantasyNational.com, FantasyNational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off. Get in there and snoop around with all of the stats that you can look at. So I just isolated Pebble Beach for this tournament, not the U.S. Open, just this tournament. And of the players with more than 2 rounds at this course, only Patrick Rogers, Alex Noren, Denny McCarthy, Webb Simpson, Jason Day, and Maverick McNeely are the only ones gaining more than 0.8 strokes per round on the green. It's not a lot.
No.
So expect a lot of short misses is what I'm saying. So you're going with Max Homa. Any other guys you like this week?
I mean, I should be picking just people who are 150 or more since those are the only people who win. I don't know. What's Corey Connors at? I wouldn't mind him this week. It's such a weird thing where everyone's missing putts. His ability to miss every putt seems to be less relevant because everyone's missing putts. So why not Corey Connors?
He's 80-1 this week.
Yeah, sure. I think he has a real chance.
All right, so Connors and Homa is where you're going with on this. No one has picked a winner in the race for the Mayo Cup through 3 weeks yet.
No, but you got all the winnings for Bezuidenhout, so it's the exact same thing as picking a winner when all that matters is the money you earn.
Sure, in fairness, only 4 people had Bezuidenhout.
Fair enough, but nevertheless, that's the same thing as picking a winner when it comes to one and done. You don't get any special credit for picking the winner.
You are right, but through 3 weeks, that means that 13,320 picks have been made, and 4 people have got a win, and that win was a guy who came in second.
I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I think Dunlap's going to be very competitive at Augusta.
Do you think he's going to be competitive this week?
No, not really.
But why Augusta?
I think by the time he's had a few weeks as a professional under his belt and he comes to that spot and he doesn't know what he doesn't know, I think he could be the way Spieth was and very competitive very quickly at Augusta.
All right. Well, any
Spieth
final...
was like 21 when he led the last round of the one he lost.
Any final thoughts for Tim on golf, Geoff?
Nope, I don't believe it. Tim, have a safe shovel today, buddy.
Please, I don't have to shovel,
Yeah,
but I feel for. I do enjoy all the people who sent me messages about pro heated driveways. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything publicly about it, other than I was right, and I know I'm right. But
Well-
thank you for letting me know.
Well,
No one is anti-heated driveway.
That's not true. There are some people who are against it. I think they're a bad idea.
they're
Like, because
they're an impractical idea, and here's why. So we got dumped on with snow. I had to go shovel through 2 driveways this morning. If I had had a heated driveway at my house this morning, I would still be waiting for the snow to melt right now, Tim. There was that much
Cranked
snow.
it up at 5 o'clock last night.
Why would I? Okay, it didn't start snowing until 3 a.m. You think that I would have turned on my driveway at 5 p.m. and let it heat up for 8 hours? And even at the time the snow came down so fast, it would have made it more difficult to get rid of the snow because the snow was super light, so it was great because it was dry. Then I would have just made the snow underneath
there are
wet.
people-
I heard
are
these
against
heated driveways have
driveways.
sensors, though. You don't even have to turn them on. They just know.
Heated driveways would be great if you had a little bit of snow and it could just melt all the snow. Not when you have like a foot of snow. That's not good. That's not doing anything.
Yeah, and there's no way anyone doesn't like heated driveways. I would agree that people they're probably impractical, but who's railing against heated driveways, Tim?
You just kind of heard it.
No, he didn't.
See, Tim, here's what he wants to hear. Remember to vote in the Custies, by the way. That link is now down in the description as we bid adieu to Tim Andercust.
Tim Andercust.
And yes, that is his name. Let's talk Pebble Beach. Top odds from DraftKings Sportsbook. Rory is the favorite, 7.5 to 1. Scotty is 8 to 1. Vic is 12. Xander is 14. Then you have Cantlay, CUST pick of Max Homa, 18 to 1. Same as Jordan Spieth. JT and Morikawa, both 22 to win. Ludwig Aubert is 25 to 1. And Tony Finau, coming off a week where dude could not make a putt to save his life, but struck it very well tee to green, 28 to 1. Those are all the players in this elevated event, a field of 80 people, Jeff, that are below 30 to 1. You said that you wanted to pounce on a super elite, but then I informed you that, I mean, this tournament might end on Tuesday based on the rain and wind that's coming all week. As soon as it stops raining for a second, there's like gale force conditions. I'm looking at Windfinder right now, 48 mile per hour winds when the leaders are projected to go off on Sunday. But it's really the rain from Wednesday through Saturday that seems to be nonstop that might push this around. So it's tough to really go to the very top of the board, I think. You can always make an in-game wager at some point.
Yeah, I was unaware about the weather until you mentioned it to me. So I'm happy I didn't really pull the trigger because
Who was it?
I had strongly considered Hovland at 12 to 1. I thought that was pretty fair for him on this golf course. I don't even know about this weather as well. Even Patrick Cantlay at 20, I thought was pretty fair for how well he has played on this golf course. And I mentioned last week, I hate Patrick Cantlay when he's like the favorite, when he is the guy to beat. I really like Patrick Cantlay when his number is the same number that they make us bet him if we want to use him at a PGA Championship or a US Open or a Masters at a far less prestigious event. I can always stare at Cantlay at the 20s at a course he's been very familiar with. But Pat, I saw Ben Coley tweeted something that caught my attention this morning, and the sample size isn't big at all, but he made note in looking at the elevated events last year that because they're elevated events, they send guys to courses that they wouldn't normally play. And a lot of guys who were just hijacking elevated events into their schedule, different from how they would have normally done it, did not really perform well at some of those courses. So maybe, there's a lot of attractive names, but I think you really, if you want to play the top, you should be looking at your Spieth, your Cantlay, I said Hovland, guys that have a really quality resume on this golf course. I would
tend to agree, and it's really hard to parse. And like I mentioned to you guys off the top, I don't have an answer for it. Is like even when you take a look at the guys who have won over the past 8 years, you have 3 like super bombs who have won because kind of any skill set plays. You run a hot putter, you can do well. Nick Taylor won at 150 to 1. TPJ won at like 500 to 1. Von Taylor won at 400 to 1. But on the other side of that, Phil won. Berger won. Who else won here? Spieth won, Day won, Rose won. Like they were all 25 to 1 or below. And then you have Tom Hoagie completely in the middle of all this. He was 65 to 1. Like he was just the one outlier. It's either the very top or the very bottom. Now, this is a condensed field. It's a much stronger field. And you lose the 3-course rotation. You go to a 2-course rotation. The last time that we saw a 2-course rotation was the year that Berger won in 2021 because of COVID. There was no fans or Pro-Am. So it was only Pebble and Spyglass that year. Set up exactly the same as it is this year. So, and you had so many of the best players. I mean, I don't know if it's because they all played in it that year, but when you go back and look at that leaderboard, I went and looked at DraftKings pricing, and 13 of the top 24 players in DraftKings pricing finished inside the top 20. So talent.
And I had Berger that year, but that was the year where you were lucky to get Berger
DJ withdrew
before the DJ withdraw. You caught like a fair number in maybe the low 20s or something. Yeah, there's a lot to parse through here. I do feel like, as I know there's been these long shots, but like Stan Marsh, Pat, I didn't hear no bell. So I think I'm going to keep taking body blows. Okay? I'm prepared to keep taking body blows. There is a long shot or two I do like, and you did mention him when you named off some historical guys here.
So you're I already bet Mav McNeely too, so you can bet him as well.
Yeah, Mav.
We're all betting him. We're all betting him this week.
Torrey Pines doesn't fit him, but I feel like I've bet him every year at Pebble Beach for a couple years. It feels like the perfect place for him. His putter was great. He exploded in the final round at Torrey Pines. That was, of course, I didn't think he should have even competed at. So now, what's the biggest number on Mav if everyone's betting it?
I took him 150 with top 4 each or top 5 each way at 1/4 the odds.
I don't do placings, but I feel like I have to.
I mean, he's like 150 to 1 is a good guy to do placings on.
Yeah, because his placings would pay just as much as the 20 to 1 the Jordan Spieth winner.
Yeah, so I'm kind of aligned with you, which is probably not a good thing because groupthink never really goes all that far when it comes to golf betting, but Cantlay would actually be my choice here of these guys. I think that, I have the pick first and one and done because I had the only guy who made the cut last week. I think Cantlay's probably going to be my one and done. Finau was actually someone I would look at as well. Like, Finau played great last week, and like, for all the people who complained about Aubert and like the short misses, there wasn't actually that many of them. You just saw all of them. Finau had like a historically bad weekend on the greens.
Even to the naked eye, I know the broadcast, like, it was so obvious, like to other professional putters, it was jarring, but even to like a straight amateur 16 handicapper, you could see that putting stroke looked feeble. And even like, we're golf fans, like we know Tony can be weak there, but there was something really feeble just visually about what was going on there yesterday. And it was horrifying to guys that actually play golf for a living, as you could see how like they didn't even know how to respond to what they were looking at, how just weak the stroke looked.
Yeah, I just hope he's banking this all for the Mexico Open in 3 weeks, Geoff, when I can cash in my big bet on him to win at 18 to 1 when he goes off at 4 to 1. Just save them all. Miss all the putts until Mexico, then make them all when you're there, Tony. That's all I care about. Although I did look into it, just because some of the names started leaping out to me from the Torrey Pines leaderboard this week. A lot of the guys that did well at Torrey Pines this week were the guys like the losers who did well at the Mexico Open. So keep that in mind because I'm going to be gone away on vacation just for the Mexico Open. If you're reaching for people down the board, guys that hit the ball, drive the ball really well tend to do well at both those courses. So keep that in mind if they did well that week. Cantlay, Spieth, Homa. Do you like JT here? Because this really on paper feels like a good JT course.
No, to be fair, I didn't really consider him, although his finishes have been outstanding, right? Like he's running them off. He's in form.
That's the thing. Like, I think it's not a good number. Like the lowest I see on him is 24-1. And that might come down if people don't want to bet him. But like the last 2 times that we saw him in California, in Napa. He came 5th and played really, really well. He had the top 15 at Wyndham to close the year that didn't get him into the playoffs. He played in the Ryder Cup and he makes his debut at the American Express, has a bad Sunday because he goes into the water twice, but still comes in 3rd place. Like, I'd say that he's in pretty good form right now.
He's in excellent form.
He just never plays the last time he played the Pro-Am was in 2014, so it's been a decade, and he missed the cut at the U.S. Open when it was here before in 2019. So no history for him whatsoever. And I think every player this decade who has won has at least made a cut at this tournament, most likely has a top 20 at some point in the 5 years previous to winning. But most of these players don't play, so that might be all off on the trends this year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be there. For me, get behind Cantley. I could potentially still be in on Victor, but I don't think there's anyone else with a 20 that I like. I could skip right to the 40s.
Yeah, this feels like a Victor by a touchdown week if he wins, because that means he's hitting every green and he's making those putts. Like, what we saw from him at the Century was a guy who, for whatever reason, forgot how to chip again. I know that him and Joe Mayo, his putting or his chipping coach, parted ways, and he had a terrible chipping week at Kapalua. These are the smallest greens. Like, if you don't hit these greens, you're going to have to rely on that short game a lot. And I didn't see anything. It looked like the old Victor Hovland in Hawaii. Maybe that was a 1 week aberration, but I would worry that if he's not locked in with his approaches, he's just a little bit off, that things can go sideways for you real quick.
Yeah, without obviously knowing any full details, I would just assume, I'm going to, like, if I want to bet on Victor, in my headspace, I would be like, that's a guy that just won $30 million, $25 million on, like, in purse last year, that had a great Christmas. That had a great fucking Christmas. That picked up the tab for everybody. Century, whatever. Like, I don't know. He finished 22nd. So maybe the people are down on him. I think he's the best player in the world, and he's 12-1.
He's not the best player in the world, so let's pump the brakes on that.
I think he is. I didn't say he was.
I mean, he's like slightly better Patrick Cantlay.
Sure. Maybe.
I mean, he is. I mean, based on his track record and his results, that's exactly what he is. Calling him the best player in the world seems like a stretch.
Yeah, I think like we're on our, that's the trash. We're way younger than Patrick Cantlay. I mean, your John Rahm's not on the PGA Tour anymore, and that's who I think is the best player in the world.
Okay, you don't think Scotty's the best player?
We've done this every major. I'm the guy that's like, if it's the Scotty Rahm thing, I'm on Rahm 98 out of 100. Like when forced to that decision. That's just my own personal bias. I don't like betting guys.
I'm not talking about betting. I'm just talking about the guys who like, if you had to pick one guy to be the best player in the world, you'd say that guy's number one. Like, it'd be hard to argue against Scheffler. Rahm is a good one. Like, Rory is up there, but it just feels like his lack of success at majors over the last decade kind of makes him not number one, but he wins everything else. But like, Scotty just dominates everyone tee to green and can't make a 4-foot putt. It's weird.
Yeah, but if for my life, I would take Rahm to beat Scotty. Like, if I had to make a pick.
Okay. Would you take Rahm to beat Victor?
Yes.
Okay, so Victor's not the best player in the world.
No, but in the PGA Tour, in this, listen, whatever. Now we're just picking, and like you said, part of the charm is I bring bias to the table. I am clearly like a slobber knobber for Hov.
I mean, I bet Spieth here every year, and it worked once, and then he blows it every other time. Should we just bet Spieth?
I'm not. There are two players I do bet here every year. I could go back and look at my card. We've already mentioned one of them, Mav, and the other one I think is going to be popular, and he's in the next block. And I think he missed the cut last time.
Okay, so 30 plus. Fleetwood actually kicks it off. He had a win over in the Middle East. He and Rory both had wins in the Middle East. Fleetwood capitalized on Rory's meltdown in the first Dubai tournament, and then Rory won the second Dubai tournament. Sungjae, Burns, Fitz, and Cam Young are all at 35-1. Cam Young also played one of those Dubai events, came in third. Then we're into like Tom Kim, Højgaard coming off a nice week, Jason Day at 40-1. Then it's into Henley, Ben An, both 50. Poston, Hideki, Eric Cole, Bo Hostler at 55-1. Theegala at 65. Keegan 65. Rose, who's the defending champion, at 65. Denny 65. Harmon 65. Scott 65. And then the rest of the people in that range are like Jagger, Cam Davis, Connors, Yu, C. Woo, Kim. Wyndham Clark is there. Nick Taylor's 100-1. I like Nick Taylor. I like him every week. I don't see why I wouldn't bet him at 100-1 this week, considering he's won here before.
Yeah, if you've been riding the Nick Taylor, feels like this, why wouldn't you play the triple digits here?
Yeah, I'm more committed to the very like long shots this week early on to get those numbers, and then try to, by the time we get to the best bet show on Wednesday, maybe I'll have the top figured out as I understand the weather a little bit more. But I was pissed when I saw Ben Ann's number. He's 50-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. I think the best number on him right now is 66, and I'm going to have to bet that because I like Ben Ann this week.
Yeah, that's fucked. I bet him at the Sony. I made my one and done at the Sony. But I think when we were talking about the odds board in the middle of the Sony, I didn't think I would bet him or make him my one and done. Yeah, Ben and Bo Hostler. It's like they just don't want us to make a bet.
Is he should we just bet Bo Hostler because his odds don't make sense? Like they're begging you not to bet him by saying, "Hey, U.S. Open champion Wyndham Clark is 80-1. Bo Hostler has never won shit, is 55 because he's like been okay at this tournament over his career." Like, what are we doing here?
But now there's like a field upgrade that makes us wonder, like, why should we be caring about Bo and Mav when the field is this strong? Like, it isn't the fields of the last couple years that have me drawn to those guys here. I could maybe get behind Ben Ann, but it really, I'm seeing Fitz at a 40. I've seen Tommy at a 40.
Fitz is the one. Fitz is the one that leapt out to me.
Yeah, Fitz, I bet him. I feel like just like Mav, I keep betting him here. So maybe we should do it again. Also, Fitz and Tommy do feel like if the weather gets stupid, but maybe I'm just like biasly or like perception wise taking a European narrative or something there.
I'll let you bet on Tommy Fleetwood. I'll take Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, no, I like them both. Tommy off a win in Europe where he hit some putts, the weird 5-footers, but yeah, so it's this range. Even I don't know what's Tom Kim 45. I could talk myself even into Hideki in the 60s.
Hideki's, I mean, the way he closed at Torrey, I think he made 6 straight birdies to close. He had a hole in one on the week and like was nowhere near the top of the leaderboard, which is insane to think about.
He's got to work out some. We got to just get some things out of the system there. But Hideki 65. Geez, you went all the way to the back here. Yeah, that might be it. That might, well, in terms of like the names, like I do have a couple bombs, but
I have 3 bets in if we want to talk about them.
Mav is one.
Mav is one at 150-1 with top 5 to go along with it. The second is Kurt Kitayama at 150-1 with a top 5. It has all the check marks of the Kurt Kitayama I like to bet on. Although the one time that I didn't bet on him when all the check marks hit, he won, and I wasn't there at 200-1. So that's always fun. Coastal Course, he was second place going into the final round here last year and shot a 76 on the final day. And so it doesn't show up as him having had a good week. He came like T29 or something, but he was very much there. Was a shot behind Rose going into the final round. So I do like him with the placements at 151. And I bet Theegala at 75 with a top 5 each way as well. You know, Sky pointed out that he's basically Spieth anyway. Like this, if this turns into a chipping and putting contest, he can most definitely win one of those.
I mean, I hadn't thought about Theegala this week, but when you said that, my first thought was that Sky comment that if you just sort of look to Sahith on Spieth tracks, then maybe there should be some blind some blind love there. Yeah, no, the only guys I think that are left in my tank are north of 100.
Who are
here. Alex Noren
they? Okay.
at 120 is the biggest number I've seen. He just, I don't know, it's so uninspiring, but he's been playing some quality golf. And you mentioned, I even forget the stat you said, but it wasn't a long list of players that seemed to work here.
It was the putting splits. The one that I would take a look at the longest odds, and he was terrible last week at Torrey. Not a great course for him. Is Seamus Power. He might still be hurt though, but he's like 300 to 1. And he's won at these short coastal courses before, so I wouldn't hate him. Like if you're just taking stabs in the dark at the very bottom of the board, like if we have stupid weather at an easier course, like guys from the back here can win this event. It's only 80 guys too.
I would just like to say, as someone who didn't bet anything on Detry last week, it was like a bittersweet seeing him go full Detry to end Saturday.
Well, no, to end Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Although it's so unfair. He hit it 30 feet long and it rolled all the way back.
Well, here's Thomas Dietrich. He's standing on the tee on the 18th hole, leading at Torrey Pines. And then he just, in his mind, he's like, oh my God, this is the Klorsborg Open, and I'm going to fire +9 the rest of the way. Every time. It is incredible. He is going to have to win a tournament the way that we always said that Sergio was going to have to win a major. He's going to be like 6 back going into Sunday and post a number like 2.5 hours before the leaders tee off, and everyone drops back and he wins. That's like his only chance.
Yeah. But I know you don't get true value, but I've always joked that you could short sell Thomas Dietrich. You just bet him pre-tournament and then cash out.
You need to be on the exchange for that one.
Yeah. Any thoughts going back to your boy, Taylor Montgomery? Hit every putt. That can win you Pebble.
It could. I didn't go to him last week, and I was worried that Torrey Pines feels like a much better spot for him, in my mind at least, although he plays these short par fours really well. Yeah? What are his odds? I didn't even really think about him.
I've seen a 120, and Pat, it's pretty funny. A full shout out to you, because I think we spent the last couple minutes last week you talking up Kevin Yu.
Yeah, Kevin Yu. Only because I can do that. Soldier, boy, you know. Yeah, Kevin Yu is my guy. I hit him first round leader last week. It was awesome. And I won a GPP with Kevin Yu on day 1 showdown on DraftKings last week. Fantasy National coming through for me. Just loves Kevin Yu based on the stats that I'm looking at. But I don't know, is this too big of an upgrade? And he's 80 to 1. Like, he's in the same range now he's the same odds as US Open champion Wyndham Clark. Like, the disrespect for Wyndham Clark is out of control. Not that I want to bet him at 80 to 1. It just seems crazy to see that number.
You could get him quite a bit bigger, but you wouldn't get placing, so I don't know if you need that.
No, who? On Wyndham Clark?
No, you.
No, I'm not super interested in you in this field. Like, if we go to 150 and we have Mav and Kitayama down there, like I think those two guys are better players than Kevin Yu. What's your phone telling you right now?
My phone, I'm just looking at odds here. I'm trying to find the Mav McNeely. I'm trying to decide the each way placings. I've got to go find the book. Sorry. I did just see if I had money in the place where I could play the placings, which I did.
So for me, I'm looking at Cantlay, Homa, Spieth, probably one of those guys. I like I'll do the quick picks. This show's been disjointed. When CUST joins, it gets disjointed. So the quick picks for Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The only bets that I have in so far, McNeely and Kitayama both at 150 to 1 with 5 placings. Thigala 75 to 1 with a top 5 placement as well. The guys that I'm giving a look at right now, and I want to see more about the weather. I want to see more about the pairings. Like if it's super windy on Thursday, I would probably want my guys starting at Spyglass. Like whatever day is the worst of the wind, you'd probably want them at Spyglass because it's tree lined. Like you might get a little bit of protection where Pebble can get bad if there's a lot of wind and you're just in the ocean the entire time. It's never going to be a lot of fun. And if there's a ton of rain, like this is a course that has super high proximity to the hole from the rough. Like the rough is nothing at this tournament every year, mainly because it's a pro-am. But if it gets super wet out, it might be if it's super wet and super windy and guys are hitting out of the rough, like that's a recipe for people shooting 82 at Pebble Beach. So I'd want to avoid Pebble on the worst day if possible. So I'll wait for the tee times to come out on those if I start attacking the top of the board. But yeah, Cantlay, Homa, Spieth have my most interest. One of those guys at the top. I don't want to say I'm fully committed to Fitz, but I like Fitz a lot. And then, Ben Ann, Nick Taylor as longer shots, Seamus Power at 300 to 1 maybe. I'm sure I already said him. I already bet him. Thanks for listening, not looking at your phone.
I thought I was listening. God damn it.
Turns out you weren't.
Maybe I caught on late.
Anyway, that's where I'm at, like walking through the board. I don't think that there's a need to pounce just because the odds are out right now.
I have not made a single bet yet. Just nothing screaming. But if I do play the top, it is Victor. If the sky's clear, I'd love to hammer Victor. Cantlay, that'd be the other one I'm considering. And then that next tier would be Tommy Fitz, Hideki.
Okay.
Tommy Fitz, Hideki, and I will be on with everybody, as Pat's let me know. Mav, McNeely, Party. I'm taking placings. I never take placings, but can't trust that guy.
One and done picks for Pebble Beach. I'll take Cantlay as mine for our 3-man. CUST is taking Homa. Who are you taking?
This could backfire because there could be other jabroni places. I'll take Spieth.
Okay.
I will take Spieth.
Jordo. Now you got to bet him.
And I don't mean to do this, but I'm gonna look right now because I don't see live odds anywhere.
Shocker. Even the books don't know what's happening this week.
They probably don't. Some trader's gonna get like a text from one of our like golf hardo acquaintances on the internet yelling at them to post live odds, and then we'll see live odds.
And then we just want to bet Charles Howe and Danny Lee at Mayakoba, and we'll be good to go.
And I need to make it clear. Last year, I bet Thomas Peters at every single live event, Pat. I want to say it again because I said it before. He did not contend a single time. Maybe I should find a new guy this year who's like in the middle behind the stalwarts to just ride to the death that could find a win. I don't know.
I probably will bet Charles Howe and Danny Lee because just those are guys that play Mayakoba well when it was a PGA Tour one. But I think I might just I got away from doing it and it cost me just because I kept forgetting that live events were happening. But I might just bet Bryson in every event. Skinny Bryson back in.
Okay. Maybe if you recall last year, and again, the sample size with live, it's I don't know what to make of it. But out of the early tournaments last year is where live hit the big numbers. The Danny Lee, the Charles Howell, maybe we're even forgetting someone else. And once they got sort of into the swing of things, guys got into their form, the good players just started to dominate.
Yep. That'll
live long shots, I guess, at Mayakoba.
Yeah, it
makes sense.
When I hit my Mav McNeely Danny Lee double this week, you'll never see me again.
Oh my God, we're not going to have a waste management show. You'll know why.
Yeah, I'll own the waste management. I'll start my own tour and pay John Rahm to come play on it.
Yeah.
That'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Thanks for the audio version. You've been here for like 2 hours now. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify, or one or both or whatever. Turn on your auto download. Sub to Mayo Media Network. While you are here, fantasynational.com/Mayo will get you 20% off. You can follow Geoff on Twitter at G Fienberg. You can vote in the CUST Awards. Those are completely free to do down in the description right now. If CUST was getting you mad, no better time to vote for Tim as most insane. Or if you like what Tim had to say, then you can vote for Geoff as most insane. Just don't throw your vote away on Paul or I. Make it a 2-man race between Geoff and Tim for the CUST Awards in 2024. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!